Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as a Florida Stoneman, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about a very interesting and unique topic is what happens to people who get crystals and don't really believe in them or care in them, and they just get them because they're pretty, and that's basically why the only reason they get them. So some people might not be into spirituality and get crystals, and that's a major problem. And I'm actually going to do another video topic within this video topic today. But when you get a crystal, these are real energy, and they are really life empowering and really life changing. A lot of a lot of crystals are not subtle in their energy when it comes to making life changes. Don't ever quote me on crystals again. I'm a little crystal. I can't believe I just said that. I'm not editing that out. You're getting the natural me, guys. So with crystals, their energy is not subtle, and you need to cleanse them, you need to charge them, you need to use them correctly, or you're not gonna find beneficial results. Now I'm gonna use a crystal for example. Black obsidian. Ooh, okay. This is a really good example. When someone gets black obsidian, and most people don't know this, and this is a giant problem with black obsidian, it makes them go through the absolute most. The black obsidian will amplify, like basically, if the thorn has been a long time ago, okay, let's just say you've had a knife stuck in you in your heart chakra a long time ago, right? And the only way to get the knife out is by heating it up, reopening the wound, and pulling it out. That's the only way to get it out. That's exactly what obsidian does, and if you're not ready for it, you're not going to know what's going on. I've seen people wear obsidian who were not ready for it. And let's just say it doesn't make them very nice people. It just makes them very not nice to be around, and you want to be aware of obsidian and what it does before you get it, because certain people, I will tell them, hey, wait on the obsidian. Other people, I'll be like, okay, I think it's time for obsidian, or like they'll have the intuition, or their guide will be like, get obsidian now because it's what you need the most. It's the most vicious crystal at ripping out negative energy. They're just like ripping it out like tiger style. Wah! And it just rips it out. But what happens when a person who doesn't believe in crystals gets obsidian? And I've heard people try to shush me on it before. They're like, just try to sell the crystals. And I remember people. This is actually why I didn't go with certain marketing people back then, is because I did not like that. They're like, just shut up about not telling people not to get a crystal at that time. Just make them get all the crystals. I'm like, I don't sell these for the point of selling them. These are spiritual healing tools, and this changes people's lives. Like, for people to buy, sometimes I won't let a person buy a certain crystal from me if I know that they are completely going to disregard that crystal. If that person doesn't believe in spirituality, they don't care about the benefits, etc. They're using it as a cosmetic jewelry, and then it's gonna really surprise the person, and it's not gonna be fun. Sometimes I do let people, because if that's the only way they're gonna learn their lesson, then okay, they've got the warning. So if someone tries to get black obsidian from you, for example, right? And I actually thought about making a crown of black obsidian. Oh, I lost my crown in my hair. That's how I know my hair is growing. So basically, I thought about putting black obsidian in my crown. I might, because it's that beneficial of a stone. It literally heats up, and like any negative energy that's supposed to come into your energy field at all, it heats it up and then banishes it. And it's not fun. Black obsidian will have you becoming dark for short periods of time. So it does. The darkness basically leaves. It might not even be your darkness. Let's just say you got into like basically an altercation with a family member, for example, and you're like, okay, you're just like being like, hey, this is right, this is not right, etc. And you might have absorbed some energy from the argument, and you have the black obsidian. That black obsidian is going to amplify the energy out of you. And for a person who gets black obsidian, who doesn't believe in crystals, they're going to be hit by some major surprises. So what happens? The person gets black obsidian. Their energy, their own negative energy, is going to be put on the spot with black obsidian. It's confrontational. It's a confrontational stone. The energy around them is going to be put on the spot. If the person feels that some people feel energy of crystals, some people don't. The people who usually don't feel energy from crystals usually eat red meat or just meat in general, mostly pork, pork and red meat will block your energy feeling abilities. It'll stop your clairtangency. It'll completely clog your clairtangency. That's just another tip and trick as well. If you would like to open your clairtangency, basically you can touch an object and then you can go back however many years you like. You can do that with a certain crystal. Like if you have you can do that with the windows of businesses. Like if you want to, I'm going off a little bit off topic, but this is just cool to teach you guys. If you want to know the energy of a business, maybe you want to go into a Subway, for example, and you don't really trust the Subway, or you want to know if that Subway is like haunted because you don't want a haunted sandwich, you'll touch the energies of the glass, and you'll just feel the energies hot, cold, good, bad, and you'll have memories start popping up and just seeing different things in your third eye. You're like, okay, this Subway has no bad energy. It's just people who come and go. Versus like this Subway is going to give me a haunted sandwich. But back to my topic. What happens when how do I get from a person getting a crystal from me to haunted sandwich? So basically, when it comes to someone getting a crystal and they don't believe in the crystals, their traumas are going to be ripped out on the spot. The person might be going through some craziness. On top of the person not believing in crystals, you have to cleanse and charge them. Because guess what? For example, if you're wearing black tourmaline, and this is why a lot of black tourmalines will suicide on people who don't believe in crystals. Some people will have crystals suicide on them. What does that mean? The crystal will break and explode, so the person doesn't have the ability to wear it or carry it around anymore. Or they'll even become lost. Because that crystal absorbed so much negative energy that was not being cleansed and charged to the point where it wasn't benefiting the person. Because guess what? If someone sent you black magic and you're wearing a black tourmaline, for example, the black tourmaline absorbs it, right? Okay. You cleanse it off the tourmaline, you put it in the sunlight, selenite, Palo Santo, etc. You cleanse it, then you charge it. Now that energy is gone. What happens? What happens when you have black tourmaline that holds negative energy and it's not really reaching sunlight, it's not really reaching selenite, it's just sitting there. Nothing good happens from it. The person is literally carrying around a curse inside the stone that wasn't cleansed off. Now, if that person doesn't believe in crystals and they notice they're just having bad luck when the tourmaline's around, they're like, crystals are evil. I used to not believe in them, but now I believe that they're evil. And I'm like, did you ever cleanse and charge your black tourmaline when people were doing black magic on you? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what do you expect? When someone shoots an arrow at you and it goes in your shield and you thought the shield wasn't real and it didn't work, when these crystals are actually, they're proven to work in science. Even the military talked about using crystals. There's military videos and documents out there back then. They use crystals because guess what? Crystals are in technology, radios, satellite, etc. But for someone who doesn't believe a shield works, it's been used throughout history. Science says a shield works. Spirituality says a shield works. But it caught an arrow, and now when it starts catching multiple arrows, the shield's getting heavy. I didn't know it didn't work like that. The shield's getting heavy. This shield must be evil because it's making me feel heavy. No. The shield absorbed something that was supposed to get to you, and it didn't get to you. And let's just say the shield breaks because it's sick of taking so many arrows, and it realizes that it's dragging you down. So sometimes your angels might help the tourmaline break because it's literally just carrying around the bad energy, and you throw it out. What was that? Basically someone who had a crystal, who didn't believe in crystals, eventually move. I mean, people who have crystals and don't believe in crystals, they'll eventually move to the opinion that, yeah, crystals are just bad luck data. Like, I had a crystal once and I didn't think it, and I've heard this story over and over and over again. And this is the majority of people. Some people who have crystals and don't believe if they work or not, they're just fully unaware what the crystal's doing. So the energy is, sometimes people are getting crystals and they're cleansing and that's a good subject as well. People are getting crystals, they're cleansing and charging, but they still might not believe if they work or not or doubt their abilities. They're still working. Yeah. Just because you don't believe a train is going in one direction, if a train is going north and you're on the train and you believe that the train is not going north, you might think that you're going south. It doesn't mean it's not going north. What does that mean? It means the crystal's still heading on their track to trying to align you, because that's what crystals do. They're pure light. They come from the light, and they're nothing but goodness. You can never do bad with a crystal, and you can never try to do bad with a crystal. If you try something bad with a crystal, most likely the crystal will return your energy so heavily to you that you're going to be shocked and you're going to have a really tough time and you're not going to know what hit you. You're going to think that the crystals, I mean, a lot of people who do that actually do figure out, like, hey, wait, the Return to Sender crystal, when they were trying to use it in black magic, it returned all their own black magic to themselves. Oh, surprise, surprise. And you didn't listen to Stone Man because you tried to try some black magic when Florida Stone Man teaches you not to do that because it's so easy to send back. But regardless, when people don't believe in crystals and they're wearing crystals, and I remember a long time ago, when I used to go out and about, I walked into a bar restaurant and I saw a woman sitting down, and basically I was sitting next to her, and I just had a feeling the malachite wasn't cleansed. There was a certain, it's rare to see someone wearing malachite just like that. Malachite, if you don't know, is a stone just as crazy as moldavite. It's even crazier than moldavite sometimes, especially when it comes to initiating transformation. I just looked at her bracelet and her malachite, and it felt heavy by looking at it. Like, my eyes kind of got heavy when looking at it. I'm like, oh my god, this woman's not cleansing and charging her malachite. She probably doesn't believe it exists. And certain information just comes to me. I don't walk up to people and read them. No, I just kind of knew. I'm like, hey, I should say something to this woman because this woman's going through it. I just already knew. And I was like, oh, great, I'm going to be that dude. And I talked to her. I just literally said to her, okay. I just say, hi, how are you? And just to say, those little psychic reader people, there's something about, I said, may I ask you a completely random question? After I talked to her and introduced myself to her, do you just have the most craziest of days that when and I was very specific, I said, when your day starts off, it starts off good, then it gets kind of ungrounded, then everything completely goes crazy, and then things that are just amplified in a certain direction to the point where all this energy's up in the air and all these different traumas are popping up in your life from childhood, from your past, and you're going crazy because a bunch of old traumas are popping up and things are just going wild and you're having new situations hit you left and right. And I explained it to her almost exactly as I said that, basically in that question form, and she just started crying. She's like, how'd you know? And I'm like, because you're wearing malachite, and I know you haven't cleansed and charged it because I'm looking at it and my eyes are getting heavy looking at your malachite, which means you've never cleansed and charged your malachite. What does malachite do? It's literally one of the most vicious crystals you can ever have for ripping out trauma. But what happens if you rip out a trauma but you let it back in? It's worse. So it'll just constantly just like, it's like a knife going out and in of your heart chakra, and you're like, it's not fully removed, but it just keeps cutting, and it hurts so much. Ah! Yeah. How can she avoid this? By believing that the crystal works, even though it's on its own working. The crystal's working regardless. My story's like, I'm never getting malachite. Well, if you cleanse and charge your malachite, it's not holding on to negative energy that belongs to you. Don't blame on anything else but yourself. Some people call crystals evil because they've had a crystal, they've never cleansed and charged it. The crystal was trying to help the person in removing a trauma, but the person never actually responsibly cleansed and charged it, which is, remember how I said this is going to be 2 topics in one? Basically why you should be cleansing and charging your crystals, plus what happens to people who don't believe in crystals and wear them anyway. Some people, I will not even let them buy crystals from me. Doesn't matter what the crystal is. It doesn't matter how much crystals it is. If that person is literally disregarding, like, yeah, that's spiritual fluff anyway. Those crystals doesn't work like a necklace. I'm like, okay, not for me. You'll get it from someone else probably, but then and I'll basically tell the person, sometimes if the person listens to me, then I'll let them get the necklace from me. If the person doesn't listen to me and tries to get it from me anyway, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have that consciousness of selling you a necklace, knowing that it's going to constantly torture you because it's trying to bring up a trauma that belongs to you from your past, and it's not healing you, and you're not cleansing and charging it, and you don't believe it's working when it's working against you, and things are getting crazy because malachite amplifies energy, etc. So whether you realize it or not, whether you believe it or not, crystals do real things very majorly. They attract very heavy blessings into our lives, and they help rip out heavy curses out of our lives. If you are the curse, then it's going to be, if you're being a curse to yourself, essentially, because some of you are. Some of you are the biggest curse to your own selves. Some of you are some of you are your own biggest, worst enemies. And that's really, it's shocking for some people to hear, you don't have enemies besides yourself. You let other people become your enemy. It's easy to get rid of enemies. You wear crystals, protect yourself, return to senders, etc. You don't have enemies. But the second that you try to blame everything on everything but yourself, and that you don't acknowledge that energy is real. I remember way back then, certain people that I was in different environments, like, I remember I was in a club, and someone's like, yeah, man, energy's real. And I looked at the person, and I'm like, okay, it's time for me to leave this club and never come back, because if these are the kind of people in the club, then I never want to be in this club again. But if you have any questions, ask them in the comment sections. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!